You may already know there is a new Resident Evil film in the works, and what have we seen in recent history in terms of live action Resident Evil films? Trash, slop, inaccurate, doesn't even try to make the fan base happy, nightmares, right? And so what are they going to do now? The same thing! Yay! Oh my goodness, here we go. Let's go ahead and dive into this video. So we have here, it says Zach Cregger explains his approach for his upcoming Resident Evil movie. He says, I'm definitely not trying to be completely obedient to the lore of the games. I'm trying to tell a story that feels authentic to the experience you get when you play the games. First of all, do you even play the games though? That's what I want to know. If you're going to try to create an authentic experience that you get when you play the games, you kind of have to play the games, right? Is that even a thing? So let's check out this article that goes over more of what's been going on. That's the thing, is if you want to tell a new story, you can tell a new story, but at least stay remotely accurate with the lore. The overarching lore, the characters, if you're going to introduce characters that have already existed, if they wanted to take something, let's say, for example, somebody wanted to make a Resident Evil movie and live action movie, because we know the 3D ones that actually are accurate with the game lore and stuff and use the characters, and those are fun. It's not necessarily like going to have as much mainstream appeal, I don't think, because of how campy and a bit on the low budget side they can be, but they're fun. I like them, but I like Resident Evil a lot, but I've got my dad to watch some Resident Evil movies with me, and he enjoyed them for what they were. He may have made a lot of jokes, but about, kind of donking on the quality or some of the campy writing. But hey, but when it comes to like a big movie, you want this to be successful, you want this to be in theaters, all this kind of stuff, and you want this to have mainstream appeal. First of all, the games already do have a huge mass appeal, so why do you feel like you have to change things so much when it comes to this? But if you wanted to create a new story, because I get it, I don't personally, when it comes to video game adaptations, I don't want to see the same story rehash. One thing I really love about the first Tomb Raider movie, for example, using that specifically with Angelina Jolie, is that they did give us a new story. They gave us a new adventure that Lara Croft was going on, but the heart of the character, her appearance, her personality, all of that was still there. They did take some creative liberties that I didn't like, not even gonna lie, when it came to Lara Croft's backstory and stuff. But as a whole, I thought that the first movie was a lot of fun and kept the heart of the game. Are they going to, of the game franchise, are they going to be able to do that with Resident Evil here? I can't help but question it, because we've been burned time and time again. If they wanted to take an approach like, think of Resident Evil 7, taking Ethan Winters, here's a new character, they still have some old characters, and like you'll see Chris Redfield, for example, which mistakes were made with his design in the 7 DLC, but they fixed that in 8. So you have stuff like that I think could work for a movie. Look at the other live-action Resident Evil movies from the past with Mia Jovovich, right? They introduced Alice. And so you had other characters that were in the game, but they were delivered accurately. Jill Valentine, oh my goodness, she was perfect, right? So if they wanted to do something of that nature, like, hey, let's introduce a new character in the Resident Evil universe, and we're gonna have cameos from existing characters, but like try to stay accurate with the lore of the games, the overarching lore, okay? So we have this article that says what's next for him after Weapons releases in theaters this August. So he's headed to Raccoon City to direct the next installment of the Resident Evil movie franchise, which will be the 8th live action movie based on the hit video games. So Cregger's Resident Evil is said to take the title back to its horror roots and be more faithful to the initial games. Well, how do you say you want to be more faithful to the original games and then say you're not going to be obedient to the game? Why? It's just like, okay, What if he does make something amazing that is mostly faithful? Then why would you say this in an interview and just tick off the whole fan base? Okay, I don't have the most faith in whatever he's working on. I'm not even gonna lie. So he doesn't intend on being a slave to the franchise's lore. That's interesting wording. Because if you actually are like the franchise, you're not going to feel like a slave to the lore. If someone said, hey, Melanie, we want you to be in charge of a new Tomb Raider movie. We want you to direct it and be in charge of all that. Obviously, I've not directed a movie in my life, but I'm just speaking hypotheticals here as a huge fan of Tomb Raider. I would never in the history of my life say, I don't want to be a slave to the franchise lore. I would never say that because I'm a fan of the franchise. I would be like, oh, especially when it comes to like classic Tomb Raider. If you're talking classic 1 through 6 lore, especially 1 through 5, 1 through 4, I would say, heck yeah. Like, yes, I want to stay in this lore and I want to be as accurate as possible with it. And hey, let's go ahead and build on this. That's what I would want to do. So no, I wouldn't want to rehash a story that's already existed again because, I mean, why? I feel like movies, when they just tell the same story that already existed, they typically do worse unless the story that they're basing it off of is bad in the first place. Like the reboot Tomb Raider. When you look at the Alicia Vikander Tomb Raider movie, that was better than the game story for a number of reasons, but ultimately it would have been a far better experience if they created a brand new adventure instead of try to rehash an existing story and just make changes to it. But I already have a bunch of issues with the 2013 game story, but I digress. This is a Resident Evil video, not a Tomb Raider video. This is how I do. All right, so take it back to its roots. Be more faithful to the original games. Okay, I am a gigantic Resident Evil game fan, he says. I've played them all. Okay, really? Really? I don't know how many times I've just looped Resident Evil 4 again and again. I just love it. I'm definitely not trying to be completely obedient to the lore of the games. I'm trying to tell a story that just feels authentic to the experience you get when you play the games. Well, here's the thing. We'll know. We'll know by the product. And once they drop that first trailer and stuff, that's when we'll know. Are you really a fan of the games? Because how many times do we hear actors, directors, oh, I'm a huge fan of the games when they adapt something and then you can just tell they're not. You can tell that that's not the case, right? So I think saying he's played every single Resident Evil game, when you make that kind of statement, you've got a lot of eyes on you on what you've done. Because now if he hacks anything up or gives us some trash, like whatever that last abomination was that I refused to watch, that race swapped Jill, it's like fans are gonna know. They're gonna know. The super fans, you can't trick them. Right? They can tell. They can clock it. Cregger continues, I don't think I'm breaking any major rules. Okay, I don't think. He doesn't say I'm not breaking major rules. He says, I don't think. How do you not? Wouldn't you know? How do you not know if you're breaking major rules or not? How is this ambiguous? You've played every game. You would know. Okay. But I also recognize that no matter what I do, people are going to come for me online. So all I want to do is just make a really good movie and tell a story that's compelling. I know that I'm going to be happy with the movie and hopefully other people will be too. See, I think this is such a bad approach when creating something that has a movie for something that already has a big fan base. He's already combative in the fact that he says, well, no matter what I do, people are going to come for me. That's not a good attitude. The better attitude is, hey, I want to make fellow fans happy. Like if I were in charge of any type of Tomb Raider product, especially classic related, my mindset wouldn't be, well, they're going to come after me no matter what. So my mindset would be, oh, I just really don't want to let them down. Imagine the people who did the Tomb Raider remasters, right? Because there were fans who were on board. I'm sure there was a lot of pressure of, I don't want to let them down because they care about the fellow fans because they are a fan. So you're not going to have this antagonistic attitude or this defensive attitude if you care about the fans because you are one. So I can't help but question that. And hey, I'm not saying no matter what he makes is going to be bad, but I'm saying this is definitely, it has me skeptical for sure. So he also says, I will also say I've never seen a movie like it. Cregger teases in the chat with SFX Magazine. It doesn't jump around like Weapons and Barbarian, but it is still unto itself. Okay, I don't know for sure what that's supposed to mean. After seeing live action movies in a short-lived Netflix television series, Constantine Film and PlayStation Productions are bringing Resident Evil back to the big screen with Cregger writing and directing. Zach Cregger's Resident Evil hits theaters September 18th, 2026. Okay. Well, we'll see what happens. I'm just going to say that if he's claiming to be a super fan, he's definitely not convincing me that that's the case with his attitude that he has. We'll see. I'm not going to completely write it off. I want to see I want to see more. Like, I want to see what's being worked on. I want to see what's happening. I want to see I just need to see more before I can come to some sort of conclusion. But I'm just saying I don't have the highest of hopes right now with what he's saying. And with already being defensive against the fans, it's definitely not a good thing. So we'll see. But there you have it for this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And I would love to suggest my Bible channel to you guys, Bible Time with Melanie Mack. Whether you're a Christian or not, I would love to see you there. I have the complete Bible read there. And then I also am uploading more videos to help encourage you in whatever you're going through in your life. And I would love to be an encouragement to you and to direct you to God's word in a way that can really help you with anything that it is that you're going through. So hope to see you there. Thank you all again. I'll catch you next time. In the meantime, go boom.